The time being 6:43, we'll call to order the August 22nd, 2017 Tilton Planning Board meeting. First on the agenda is review of the minutes for the June 27th meeting.
Make a motion to bring the minutes of June 27th to the floor for discussion.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Does anybody have any revisions, any concerns, questions?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of June 27th, 2017.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Great. Disperse with those.
I have a question, but there just, FYI. Did the Conservation Commission give their approval for the permit for what?
Which one? Sorry?
PB 17-02. The one Tim Bernier.
Yeah, so that one. Oh,
It was number one on the list of conditions.
I'm sorry, I can't, I'm spacing that right now. What I do know on that, and then maybe it'll come to me, they are doing some work with AOT. AOT requested some additional information, and they have submitted that. When would they have gone for conservation?
They didn't go last time, because I was there. That would have been the third. This was.
So let's see, this was June 27th.
So they would have had gone the third Monday of July.
And you saying that didn't happen?
No, I know they didn't go last night. I don't know about the July meeting.
Okay.
But isn't the permit generated from land use?
The conditional use permit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't issued, well, we haven't issued. I mean, nothing's been finalized on it, I guess. Well,
So they don't have approval, so what you're telling me is they don't have approval to go forward until your office generates that permit, sends it off to Conservation Commission, where they must have to sign off on it, right?
well,
Oh, so I'm just wondering, do they need to be
Honestly,
reminded to go?
I think that, to be honest, in the past, it's been, once the planning board approves a conditional use permit, it's considered granted.
Okay, but the first condition on this one is Conservation Commission approval of the project shall be obtained.
I understand, so
So unless they get that, they can't go forward.
I agree, yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
What I'm struggling with right now is recalling, I did get some minutes from Conservation Commission, and with all the, whatever, that I'm having trouble recalling, exactly what the date was on that
Okay.
Conservation Commission. I think it was the minutes prior to this meeting that I have, so
Okay.
they cannot go forward. is what I
Okay,
tell
that's
you
what I
that
just
much.
wanted to confirm,
Yeah.
okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. I experienced the move too.
Great. We're only July 11th.
I'll make a motion to bring the minutes of July 11th to the floor for discussion.
Seconds. All in favor?
Yeah.
Yes. Any opposed? Everyone had an opportunity to review. Any revisions, questions, concerns, corrections?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of July 11th, 2017.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So be it. Great, next on our list, Dari, do we need to discuss that change of use from AutoServe?
Yeah, does everyone have a copy?
I read it online.
No, here, I'll take a copy. All right. It's basically, where they were selling furniture. Prior to that, they were selling cars, and my understanding is that they basically want to go back to that.
Cars seem to work for them.
They've never sold
They've
cars
never
on
sold
that
cars
site.
on that lot.
Oh, okay, sorry.
They better not have.
I remember cars being there.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
never
that's
been
always
allowed.
been a contention.
No, they sold them there, they just were never permitted.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Slight formality.
what is their original site plan? So where it's never been a car storage, the change of use is appropriate at the sound point, should we think?
Right, yeah. This definitely should be site plan considering the problems we're having with wetlands on that property.
Is it just went out by Lowe's?
Notice it's all cars there now.
Just gonna say there's wetlands and stuff that are appeared there on that property. I don't know if it's on that property, but adjacent to it.
How do you amend something
Well,
like that?
An increase in traffic, parking.
Well, you don't. Yeah, they've never had it, so it's a site plan.
Do we have a motion for that? Or no, just discussion?
Make a motion to the site plan review.
Do we have to have a motion to site plan or just that we're all in
You
concurrence?
certainly could. There's no harm in doing a motion. Yeah, I think,
Make a motion to require that 67 East Main Street, is that the property, is that the address? R24, Lot 3,
yeah.
come before the board for site plan review.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? All right, thank you very much. On to our definition workshop.
How about the driveway questions?
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't have it on this. It wasn't on there.
No, it was on the list.
Okay, driveway
So,
question.
yeah, sorry.
Speak to us, all.
Driveway, so, I talked to Brock, he expressed some interest in, being the designated agent for driveway permits. And I said that I generally would be in favor of it. I think what's important is that whoever does it, be aware of the subdivision, the driveway regulations in the subdivision regulations. And he's expressed willingness to.
Didn't we have an issue with that at one point before where we took it away?
Yeah, I think it like, Bitter Lane, there was this is an example, and not singling anyone out, but there were some driveway permits issued a few years back that seemed to sort of ignore the larger scheme of things. It was kind of, yeah, sure, here you go. And so we thought it made sense to bring it in so that it was more part of our entire planning and approval process. But I think, again, Brock seems to be willing and ready, willing and able to sort of issue permits with an understanding of what's going on. Also, though, I think Catherine had a good idea. Like, throw you under the bus.
I already have tire tracks on me.
Most of the driveway permit applications we get are for residences, and it's like, really, to me, it's like, Brock, what do you think? Are you okay with this? If he's okay with it, I'm okay with it. And those, to me, should go right to Brock. When it's a new, if there was a driveway permit being, for a new business or something, of course, we don't get any of those, because most of our businesses are on state roads. But that would be where it would maybe be more important that the planning board be more involved, and that maybe we would, it says planning board or its designated agent. Maybe both of us could be authorized, essentially, designated agents, with the understanding that, he's going to handle most of the small residential ones.
Yeah, so it's like Dari was talking about Bitter Lane, that driveway permit for that Tilton Sports Center should never been given a driveway permit before they even site planned, before any conditions to the road were met. I mean, we're still dealing with that. Makes it kind of interesting.
What's that?
So when we have, the Tilton Sports Center was given a driveway permit by the road agent at the time, before the property was even site planned, before the selectmen had met with them to talk about what upgrades were going to be made to Bitter Lane. They had a driveway permit in hand to access Bitter Lane. But because Bitter Lane is a town road exiting onto a state road, it's the Board of Selectmen that have to apply for the permit to go onto the state road. So that was a saving grace. And then the other, if it was accessing a town road, we'd been in trouble. But we in the past, because the road agent doesn't understand planning or how a new driveway might affect an abutting property or other property, we've gotten in trouble in the past. But as Dari said, I made the comment that most of our driveway applications are for repairs, upgrades, going from dirt to asphalt, maybe putting a culvert in, widening an apron. Those existing driveway permits, I don't see how the road agent could cause a problem with planning, because they're already existing.
Wouldn't the road agent be a great person for, even a new?
No, because they don't understand the planning process, just like as
They
I said,
would
bidders,
understand
how?
the
They're not
dynamics.
planners.
No, that, what I meant to say.
They're builders.
Is, that's what I mean, how filling in some impervious pavement is going to affect runoff, they would understand that.
They would understand that, and they certainly could be
Process.
partners in it. But I think if the planning board kept
Yeah, they wouldn't.
the new applications here, it would require a conversation with at least the land use department, town planner, and the road agent.
Can't you require, or can't you invite the road agent to come to those planning board meetings when we're gonna deal with new construction driveways and stuff?
You could, when
should
it
be
affects
part
a
of it.
town road.
Yeah,
But like Dari said, most of our new businesses are on state
Right,
roads.
right.
So it's very few, but every time it's happened, which is
How many-
rare,
how many-
we've been messed up.
how many driveway permits are we talking? A year, basically.
Half a
Yes.
dozen,
Yeah, right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
well, 90% for repairs.
Yeah,
So what do
So
you
if we
wanna do?
made some kind of a motion that allowed the road agent, as the planning board's designee, to accept and consider, approve or deny driveway
Existing.
permits as it pertains to to existing driveways only.
Can't we just make it kind of, can't, like Dari said, both of them can have that response, you can just name them as both can do it, and then they can decide based on availability, based on, make it a little bit more flexible.
And then you're allowing the road agent to give out driveway permits for new businesses.
Well, not
Just like-
allowing, wouldn't you be working with the road agent in that?
That's what happens now, without any new motion.
Oh.
What's happening now is the road agent would like to give out driveway permits. And I'm saying, just gun shy from the
How come
problems we've had in the
the agent-
past with new permits.
He isn't here, I don't understand why he's not part of this conversation.
He was willing to be here, we just didn't want to make him come for this initial discussion. But we could invite him back to a meeting and have a discussion with him.
Seems appropriate, at least, to not just.
Yeah, except, sitting here deciding whether we think he's should
capable,
have
and it
this
could be
going.
embarrassing.
Well, not, and it's
Well,
not
we're-
a
it's
fact
our
of we
history
think he's
now.
capable, it's we're
Right.
going through past history.
And whatever we do tonight has to be based on the road agent, the unnamed road agent, because those positions change.
They change
So you have
exactly
to,
correct.
you have to do it based on the responsibility of the person in that role, not the person.
Well, you
yeah.
have to remember, planning is the planning board's expertise, not the road agent. The road agent is a builder. They're construction people. They,
His expertise is what size culvert it needs, what
Exactly.
apron it needs, of existing things.
that's why it would be ideal to allow him to give out driveway permits for existing driveway alterations or repairs. Hands down. Because if it came to the planning board, what would we do?
Right.
Call the road agent and say, so what do you think about the size of this culvert?
Right.
And where's it gonna drain to? But for new driveway permits,
Yeah, I think
new
you're right.
applications.
I like this.
So we can
That's
just
true.
do that and then,
I'm gonna make a motion.
you know, we can consider that other thing later, I guess.
Right, so
To
I,
make sure that he gets the new ones.
Well,
right, so can, help me word this. I'd like to make a motion that we grant authority to the road agent to review and issue anything to do with old, existing driveways as far as
Repairs and
repairs,
alterations.
alterations, culverts, etc., without coming before the planning board, but require all new construction on town roads for driveways to have to come before the planning board. Play with it.
I guess I'm gonna ask a question. We have a case that we've had on Autumn Lane. There was an issue with the driveway permit, and that's an existing driveway, and I believe that was issued by the road agent, and so you're going, so in that case, I don't know.
How about if we say just for residential properties?
Another thought.
Well, and you can add a caveat to that that said, and he will consult with the planning board and commercial properties, but I still don't think, I think for planning purposes, even the impact on Bittern Lane, that commercial property, where it's an existing driveway and it's about altering it.
I'm not talking about Bittern Lane, I'm talking about.
I mean, I'm sorry, Autumn Drive. Bittern Lane stuck in my head because I've been dealing with it the other day. I meant Autumn Drive, I'm sorry. You know, the widening or culvert or something really doesn't affect planning so much because it's existing. It's already there.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, my other concern is that, case 1710 that we had, you know, the DPW didn't provide any comment on it. So, you know, something must have been submitted to them and they didn't find it even important enough to respond back with even, you know, there's no issues, whatever, and they just didn't respond.
You know, this motion wasn't seconded. Maybe it is a good idea to have the road agent here. We've already had the conversation we had, and to continue the conversation with the road agent and make him understand our concerns and come to an agreement with him on, you know, just exactly repair and alterations, what does that mean?
Because we don't know where his
Okay.
head's
As
at.
opposed to new. Yeah, and
Yeah, I
then we
would
get a
like to-
better understanding of what he's capable of doing.
And then he'll know the expectation that when he receives something from the planning board, we'd like his input.
Exactly.
Make it so.
Leaving it out.
Make it sound.
That we're going to bring Brock to a future meeting, yeah.
Yes.
Just one real quick comment, obviously Attorney Radigan is here. Putting that wording, planning board or as designated agent into the subdivision regulations, part of the reason I think we did that was to provide a level of flexibility so that you could actually relatively quickly respond to staffing changes and, you know, expertise, shifting of expertise from person to person. So, you know, I think Ms. Shepherd made a good point. We shouldn't just base this on, you know, necessarily individuals, but in this case, there is some flexibility to quickly shift who your designated agent is from time to time. But anyway, I'll shut up.
Well, thank you for your input.
One other thing, really quick. I know
Oh, go
Attorney
ahead.
Radigan's here, but, you know, on this form projects not subject to site plan review, I would love it if we kind of looked at that and thought about maybe rewording it. Proposals that involve no change in use. It's a poorly worded thing. And then proposals that involve a change in use but does not involve, and then it has a list. And some of those things are changes in fuel storage, and changes in hazardous material storage, that could be anything. That could be like moving your bleach or something. I mean, can't we do a little bit better than that? I don't know, but for the future.
Well, can I just, I think I have done some work on this in the past, so I think, sort of ready to pick that back up when we find time again. But, I think the way Al and I are using this is that it starts out at the top and says, okay, if there's no change in use, obviously, he and I have this, we can say, yeah, you don't need site plan review. Then the next level, if there is a change of use, but it doesn't tick off any of these things at the beginning of the list, then we still have the authority to say, okay, go ahead, you don't have to have site plan review. If one of these things is ticked off, then we have to either say, you have to do site plan review, if it's obvious, or we say, here's a change of use review form, fill it out, and take it to the planning board. So these aren't saying that if you hit one of these, you definitely have to do site plan review. What it's saying is if you hit one of these, you definitely have to go before the planning board. The planning board still has the option of determining that it doesn't need site plan review.
I agree with Jules. A lot of this involves retail. So if it goes from retail to retail, well, if I decide to open a pet store in a place where there's a clothing store, they're both retail businesses, but a pet store has a whole lot more problems and issues than a clothing store.
Well, yeah, but
So,
the way, I think the way...
and going from a dress store to a pet store wouldn't trigger any of the, on this list.
Then it
Well,
should-
maybe hazardous material storage, but you'd have to think of manure as a hazardous material storage.
If you think there are things, I
I
don't
don't
know.
know, that could be
You
anything.
guys want to keep going with this, or should we get back to it?
No,
another time?
no, I just
to it
mean
after.
some other
It's homework.
year.
We have to make a
Do we
motion.
have to pick on the lawyer now?
The only other thing would be to sign these Spinnaker plans, we can do after, just, chairman and secretary need to sign them. I'll attest that they address their conditions of approval, we can certainly discuss that later.
Motion to adjourn this meeting. Is it adjourned? Am I adjourned?
Well, no, I guess we're going into a recess, unless you guys want to just adjourn the meeting.
Recess. We're not in recess.
Make a motion to recess.
Well, wait, before
Because
you
we're
do,
not going into
do
a
we want to
meeting.
reconvene after?
Yes.
Okay,
That's a recess,
all
right?
right, yeah.
Second. All those in favor?
Well, yes.
Any opposed?
All right, I'm ready. Get my job.
I got a question.
It's
Well, you
music.
gotta turn on the camera first. On.
Give the time again?
What's that?
Do I have to give the time again?
What is it, 8:10, 8:11? Sure.
8:12, right.
8:12.
8:12 PM, coming out of recess. And, okay, we have a workshop on definitions. Catherine has done a lot of work on the definitions. What did you come up with?
Well, I didn't think I was gonna be here tonight, so I was afraid with this.
There you go.
No, no, I know, but, sorry.
I forgive you.
I mean, we have overachiever.
I did it, I just didn't have it ready because
What's
I
the best
wasn't.
way to approach this since you have?
I emailed Dory this afternoon, I said, I wasn't telling you I wasn't gonna be here, but now I'm gonna be here, but I just didn't get a chance to.
Can you remember anything?
So there's levels of problems, and yeah, I was kind of at a loss where to start. But I started with the zoning ordinance, even though we can only change site plan and subdivision. But I figured if we started with zoning, then you just make subdivision and site plan match it. So as I went through this, and I ran out of little yellow things.
Staples
Not far
fault,
into
maybe.
it.
Are we doing all
Switched to a
of them?
highlighter, but no, so I'm just gonna give you some highlights of what I found. So, what bothers me, and I don't know if it does anybody else in definition, is when you use a form of the word or the same word to describe that definition. You know, like building. Well, a building. You know, so we have a lot of that. Dwelling is used a lot.
Is that standard in most definitions?
No. Well, it happens a lot, but, so what I did is I looked through other communities, but I also, what I like to use is the state's definitions, because we still partner with the state. So, yeah. I figured they've had enough lawyers look at them.
Before you start though, I have a question. Somebody brought up before that the definitions that we have should not be definitions that are in the dictionary. But clearly that is not the case. So,
Well,
give it a thought.
they're planning definitions, so they're a lot different than like auto service station. You know, we have to go beyond the Webster definition because you have to describe, we're talking about land use, so any area of land, including structures thereon. One of the ordinances, or maybe I didn't copy it because I thought it was annoying. One of the towns, every one of their definitions began with land that is used for, and then the definition began. Everything. So accessory building, or even about our land that is used for. Yeah. But I have Manchester's, Newington, and I think this is Lee, yes, Lee's definitions, which they're pretty good because they don't have those repetitive things in them. You know, like, so without getting into too much detail with this, I guess the next step, if you want, is to go through these and actually put other definitions in here. Like, so for example, manufactured housing park. Land under single ownership upon which two or more homes are parked and occupied for living purposes regardless of whether or not a charge is made for such accommodation. So single ownership. Well, that to me means one person owns the land.
Right.
But that's not necessarily the case in mobile home park. Co-ops, for example, or partnerships, or corporate, you know what I mean?
Maybe a co-op, the difference is that says mobile home park. So is there another definition that says cooperative mobile home park?
No, we don't have that definition.
But should we?
Those are things
But
that we should
probably,
discuss.
because we have a couple, we have more than one cooperative.
There's probably a lot of there's a lot of
We
definitions
can
that
expand
So-
it.
we don't have.
So, like, here's one, lumen means a unit of luminous flux.
What?
And then it goes on to a little bit more, 1 foot candle is 1 lumen. So you see what I mean? You know, be the initial lumen output rating. So a lumen is a lumen is a lumen, I guess? What's a lumen?
I think we also have a definition for vehicle in there, which I thought was a given.
Recreational.
Like,
use.
why
vehicle,
until-
it's self-propelled vehicle.
It's like this one got me, permanent foundation, a solid poured concrete or cement block base. Well, there's no such thing as a cement block, they're concrete blocks. But my house sits on a stone foundation. Does it mean it's not on a foundation because it's not made of concrete?
Oh my God.
I don't think so.
Oh my
It's a
God.
permanent foundation. It's not going anywhere. So, yeah, some of them are lacking, some of them are crazy, but I guess I could go and, I like sign portable. Signage! That's not part. Temporary sign, temporary. Signage! And I like this one. Structure. Anybody read structure? I know that this is the state's definition of structure, and if you look in your book under airport, that's where this is a word for word verbatim of that.
Okay.
But if you read through the ordinance, the zoning ordinance itself, it's almost redundant definition because in the ordinance, it'll explain, well, the structure is this, and it's not this definition. So, do you want me to
Yes.
give you some suggested definitions?
Yes. We shouldn't have to like recreate the whole thing. I mean, between other towns and other cities, a lot of these things have been,
Well, that's what I mean, using
States.
the state regulations and then with water
unless it's like
definition.
structure where it goes on
Water
forever.
definition here, and then some of them,
Yeah.
it's like retail. We use that a lot, but we don't have a definition for what retail is.
Really?
We need a better definition. Yeah, retail. what is
We use it a
retail?
lot,
We don't have, yeah.
but, you know, you look in here and there's no definition for retail.
There's no definition for adult daycare.
Exactly,
Is it
so,
adults in diapers or is it people that need?
so, yeah, I was going to try to just work with ones that we have. I did write down a few that
Staff there.
are missing that should be in here, but that's really what I'm trying to look for now. And then I found some grammatical problems.
Does it talk in the book about, you know, what we should be defining or not defining, or how we should be defining it as a board?
Pardon?
Does it say in the state book anything about like parameters for defining things? Any kind of guidance at all, like what you should
No, the guidance that you have is
do? Like explaining.
what are zoning regulations supposed to do? It's supposed to be for the benefit of the town. You have, I mean, there's RSA's in here that tell you not to. It's like, not in my backyard is not acceptable. So you don't make zoning, well, for example, for a while in our zoning for mobile home parks, they could only be in the agricultural area and they had to be connected to municipal sewer. Well, there's no municipal sewer in the agricultural area. So basically what you're telling people is, no mobile home parks in the town of Tilton. So
It's a
you can't
polite way
make
of saying.
zoning like that. You can't be,
That's illegal.
It's exclusive zoning. It's illegal.
so, yeah.
But this
So
is a
then,
start.
do
so
that.
then the next step after we do this is to go through, and I've started doing a little bit of that, is pick out those areas that need to be defined. That we don't, like adult daycare and retail, and there's a couple others. And then my question is, impact fee ordinances. Now, in my years here, we've gone back and forth with impact fees. Now, the last thing I remember is we couldn't have impact fees. So why do we have an impact fee ordinance?
Yeah, I'll research that.
Just in case.
But, but if we fix our master plan, we can have impact fees.
Not from what I understood, because Sandy went to, didn't she go to, Lakes Region Planning? And they told her there was a court ruling.
That, what was the court? I can look into it. I
Okay.
honestly, I'm not sure. I'll look.
You can speculate.
And then it's like, for example, where it's describing all the districts, they need to be updated. Small scale retail. What's that? What is small scale retail? Anything that's not wholesale?
We have.
And that's not large scale.
And then they say, but sewer service is planned. Really? I don't think so.
There's a whole zone in there that,
Yeah.
what is it, mixed use too or something?
Mixed use too. I like this part. This district was approved in March 2005, but is not shown on the tax map for the town of Tilton, as no land has been approved for the district at this present time. It was for the former Quinty property. The owners of that property came before the planning board with a conceptual and basically created a whole nother village, if you will. They had movie theaters and substations for police and housing and markets and even a clinic, hospital type place. I mean, it was like a whole nother community. And what they wanted to develop on that site didn't fit in with the zoning of the site at the time. I almost think it was industrial, wasn't it? I think it was industrial. So this MU2 was created to accommodate them.
Wow, that's
It's a
good
little
to
neighborhood.
know.
But now it's for sale, the property's been for sale for years. So yeah, so I have, so then our parking ordinance, you know, and I think we've all looked at that. So where does condo fit in with that? I've got written down there. And where does motel fit in with that? It says in hotel cottages or bed and breakfast. But we do have motel in our definitions, but we don't have it in there. So you would assume it might go with hotel and cottages and inn, but we already got caught with adult care facility, which I didn't include in this.
That's gonna come back and haunt us.
And then other commercial uses, well, such as, you know.
Yeah, but we have it as,
Everything
we have it
else
as
is not-
hotel motel, so you could.
Yeah, so everything else that's not listed here, we forgot, is under other commercial uses. And then daycare, where is that parking for daycare? So those are the kind of things.
Manchester has a really good parking table, I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
It's-
It is
you should
good,
look at that.
isn't it? It is
Yeah.
good.
Send us all copies.
All right.
So you have,
I just don't have time.
you know, arterial or collector streets, what are those?
Just drive around.
With sewer service available or planned? Oh, great.
So, are those in with the definitions, or we would stick with definitions and then do the?
Well, that's what I'm asking, do you want to just stick with the definitions?
That's it, we can do really
I can go over
quickly.
the
Yeah,
just grammatical things with Dory and correct them.
so Catherine, if you can have those all typed up for us come next meeting. Because if we meet the 5th.
I'm gonna cut and
sort of
paste.
Workshop, we can get rid of definitions.
Yeah, but look at the definition of inn,
Oh,
commercial
this is gonna,
facility.
yeah.
For
I
the
mean,
housing and feeding
I'll,
of transients.
It's a work in progress.
as I, you know, I'm just gonna cut and paste from other people's and put them in
Yeah.
the list. And what I'll do is I'll give them to Dari, and then he can send them out to everybody so you can look at them, and then when we come together, make a decision on it. At least you can review them beforehand.
And reference, you know, Manchester, I think said Lee and,
Um, Lee, Manchester, and Newington.
now why'd you choose them? Are they similar size? No? Similar,
So here's,
similarities some way?
so here's the story. We had, oh God, years ago, I don't even remember how many years ago, but it was many moons ago. We hired an engineer to redo our subdivision plans. So he brought it into us, we paid him, $5,000 or something, it was thousands of dollars to come in and rewrite our subdivision, specifically for the town of Tilton. And he presented it to us, and we're reading it, and it says, Town of Wilton, Town of Wilton, Town of Wilton, Town of Wilton. I looked at him and I said, so we paid you $5,000 to give us somebody else's subdivision? How does this pertain to the town of Tilton? And ever since then, I've just gone to these three communities because I find that, I mean, Manchester, they've got their stuff together. They're not like
Have you
this.
ever watched one of their board
It's not a
meetings?
small town. They've
Right.
experienced, you know,
That
10
they
times,
know.
100 times more than what we have in zoning. So they've got their stuff together. Newington, Joyce was there. That's why I picked Newington. And Lee, our former administrator, was there, Alice. So she was a smart woman. And I've read through their zoning before, and it's pretty good. But that's why I just
I don't
picked
know
those
why
three.
one of these brainy planning people types doesn't just come up with a packet like, this is the best
us.
of, the
A
best
template.
of, a template.
Because every town has different wants and needs, and
But
Well, we're
most
also-
towns are very similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Even a small, like a package for a small
Planning
town.
commission doesn't have something like
They
that.
do, but you pay money for it.
But it can't be as much as some people pay.
Like I said, we paid $5,000 to have
Right.
our subdivision.
It can't be as much as
That
that.
was
I
the
said
ones
he
with
had the name-
Wilton's.
They just have the name wrong, so you could just,
Well, I said to him,
Search and
so why'd you
replace.
pick Wilton? Because it was easier to make into Tilton? I was really angry and upset with him, so I was really,
Was
you
it just a
know,
mistake on his part?
no. Because the first thing I did after that meeting is I went to my computer and looked up the town of Wilton zoning and subdivision, and there it was. I'm like,
Crazy.
so, all right, I will concentrate on just the definitions and,
Do you think we could be looking at them on the 5th?
say what?
Would you be able to look at them on the 5th or after our 12th meeting?
It depends on how many more calls I get for health officer. I got 3 today that kind of.
Well,
So-
Okay.
it's on record.
Wait, I just went there last night, thanks.
Anything about, what else?
That's all right.
Any other eating establishments?
No.
I know, later.
All right, is there anything else, any other business that we need to?
The Spinnaker plans are here to be signed. The plans address the installation of snout type oil water separators in all catch basins. The cleaning out of the all catch basins is a note, was added as a note on the plan. What's the other thing? And approval has been obtained from the Tilton, the Stantec review has been completed. So the conditions of approval have been addressed. So if the chairman and secretary wish to sign these plans, we can do that tonight. And other than that, I don't have, I think that's all I have. Oh, one other quick, obviously, you know, Jane's not here, she wasn't feeling well, she called in, she regretted not being able to be here, what's going on for the next meeting. She had asked about those sculptures, remember the, like, I think she's talking about like where the Donald Trump.
Those
and all
hideous
that
ones,
kind of-
they put more on the
Yeah,
lawn.
and the gentleman actually did come in for a sign permit, and I said, we need to get you in front of the planning board. And he was initially planning on being here tonight, but obviously that didn't work out, so I'll try and follow up with him.
He didn't get the sign permit, did he?
No.
Sign permit.
He's
for
not
the
an approved
sculptures.
business, so he shouldn't be getting a permit to conduct business.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I put a note with the permit and said not to, I'll follow up on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing for him to put all that stuff out front, but when he starts putting up signage, now he's
Well, that's what I was
totally-
gonna ask, why is he
Not
coming in front of
compliant.
us if he's not a business? He can put up sculptures all over his yard, wherever he chooses.
Well, I said, oh, so, you know, I said, so you want to sign it? He said, yeah. And he said, so you obviously have a business. He said, well, it's not really a business, I just want to sign. And I said, well, if the sign goes up there, people are gonna, you know, I said, you really need to come forward.
What's the
That's
sign
what you
gonna
need to come
say?
for the planning board.
Look at my sculptures or such and such sculptures for
Not for
sale.
sale.
I mean, what's the sign gonna say?
Yeah, I don't know.
'Cause if it's just his own lawn art and he's not selling, he doesn't have to come in front of us.
It's expanded
Right.
over to
Well,
a
why does
rusty
he have to
so.
sign that? I mean, I thought it
Yeah,
made
but
sense for him to come.
Mr. Tilton put signs up all over, statues up all over the woods and stuff.
Right, but
Can't
when
stop
he's,
someone
when
from
he's
being
coming in for a
eccentric.
sign permit, I mean, so there's a freedom of speech. Like I could put whatever I wanted on the side of my barn without a sign permit saying, you know, so-and-so is a jerk, or I don't like this, or, you know, whatever.
Renting out your
But
apartment.
if I put a sign up there that says, you know, lawn ornaments for sale, well, now I'm
Right.
conducting a business.
No, what I'm saying is if he's
Without-
running a business, that's, yes, he has to come in, but if he's just
Custom orders.
putting stuff everywhere, that's.
Yeah, but what's stopping from people from coming and buying them?
Yeah. It did seem like it was kind of almost like yeah.
I did drive by there the other day and I saw someone loading something up into the back of the car, so I was
He
like,
moved a whole bunch over to that rental property that Rusty used to have. They moved a whole bunch more over there, like this week. They've spread between the two now.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll continue to follow up on that. That's all.
So if someone wants to come in before the planning board just to ask us our opinion, do they also have to meet a deadline for that as well?
No, not in my.
To get on the agenda, there's no deadline to get on the agenda?
Conceptual.
No.
Or it's just under others, other,
Conceptually.
I think that there's a general, anyway, the planning board has a general leeway, there we
Yeah.
go, to kind of say, hey, we need more time, to say, we're not ready to look at this tonight. But I think conceptuals, like if somebody came into my office, not today, but during a slow period, they came into my office on the day of a planning board meeting, I might say, hey, come on in tonight. Or let me check with the chairman and see if it's okay for you to come in tonight. If the chairman says yes, I'd say, yeah, come on in, and they can talk. And then you guys have, I think you should keep in mind, if you feel like someone's been thrown at you, say, sorry, we're going to have to address this at another
well, it's just
meeting.
conceptual at that point, there's no application or anything.
Yeah, and there are two types of conceptual. There's the, what is it? There's design phase review, and other one's not going to mind at the moment, but design phase review requires a butter notices, so that obviously we need stuff.
But I've never found any RSA that requires conceptual or design phase reviews.
What's that?
I said I've never found any RSAs that support conceptual or design phase reviews. I've never found any case law. I mean, is that just something we came up with?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
I've never found any laws that support a planning board doing a conceptual. I've only found laws that require site plan review. Not conceptuals, not, what do you think of this? Only site plan review.
Really?
No, state law enables towns to conduct preliminary review.
Where? You don't have to bring it somewhere.
Well, where it might be easy to get is,
Power to review site plans.
no, it's definitely there. It's like a half a page.
Yeah. So what's the purpose?
Erection of building on streets, approved delegation authority, dedicated restoration, involuntary marriage law.
Design review is a more formal version of a conceptual consultation, with the key difference being the inclusion of a drawing of the proposed development. RSA 6764 maybe?
What is it?
No, that's,
No, that's Butters. It must be
no, it
noticed.
might be in there, but there's a lot in that one.
Town of Allenstown.
No, you're reading case law.
No, I'm reading Town of Allenstown.
Oh, Town of Allenstown.
They have conceptual consultation as an opportunity to present an idea to the board
I'm
in a
just saying, I've
general,
never
non-binding
seen
manner.
state law that supports it.
Yeah, I can share it with you. It's definitely in
Yeah,
there.
I mean, you don't show me
Yeah.
tonight, it's
Yeah.
frustrating, I've never been able to find it.
Well, they have one called design review, is a more formal version of a conceptual consultation, with the key difference being the inclusion of a drawing of the proposed development. Such a proposal is governed by, and then they reference their own section 4.0
But I've also never found a
of the
law that says you
subdivision
can't.
regulations, and will require a written narrative similar to that required by the conceptual consultation above, as well as drawings and any other exhibits the exhibit the applicant wishes to submit. In addition, abutters must be noticed by state law 676:4, and therefore appropriate abutter notification fees are required.
Motion to adjourn?
Second. I think conceptual is dangerous.
She wasn't going anywhere with this discussion.
It's just,
Read to us
Anyway, I
more.
think conceptual is dangerous.
I think you're
We
wasting
have a
time.
tendency to site plan conceptuals. I think conceptuals
All
should
they
be
do is
done
look
in
at us and
yourself.
look at them, say, yeah, yeah. I think this.
No, leave it down. It's
Oh.
open still. So all those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Any opposed?
So weird.
I've never found a law that says that we can adjourn like that.
That what?
I'm just kidding.
She's being a.
Let's debate some more.
Oh,
Let's debate about debating, shall we? Let's debate. Let's open to debate.
I'm gonna leave my cows here and I have to get up in the morning.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm going to
It's nice of you.
Stumble around up there in the
Will you go
dark.
sign your life away? Anytime is
Good.
it 5:30 again? I'm gonna go buy my Powerball for tomorrow night, it's over 700 million.
9:15.
Okay, Mama, you're on the list.
Corporations, LLCs, and partnerships.
Somebody's gonna win it somewhere
Somebody's
eventually.
gonna win it, right?
Eventually.
Somebody.
She's taking her thrill though.
Oh, yeah, well done.
It's a little one. I got the wallet.
I got a plan.
But Ray will be still good.
We'll have to talk about that sometime.
Careful, this bleeds big time.
What?
Had any text messages?
I went camping. I told her that.
No, no.
And yesterday, I was
So now